let's just get this out of the way. I've been thinking about quitting Femboy content, and I've just been having a bunch of mental health issues going on. I haven't been uploading a lot either, which has been a contribution to the mental health issues. And I want to talk about why I haven't been uploading, because I feel like I have not had a consistent upload in I don't know how long. I've always been abrupt, and I feel like you guys deserve an explanation on why I haven't been uploading. I want to divide this video up into three different chapters, I would say. The first one I want to talk about is the femboy space, the issues I see with it, and the research I've done that made me contribute to these mental health issues. And I want to separate the other part to just my personal reasons and what's been making me struggle the most within uploading, because they both kind of tie together. So the first one I want to talk about is the femboy space, and the femboy space is really it's depressing. I'm not gonna lie, it's really depressing. I know people are like, how is it depressing? It's just a bunch of guys, femboys wearing thigh highs, skirts, and just showing their feminine side. How could that be depressing? So there's a lot of attributions on why it's depressing. First, I want to talk about the sexualized space, which if you guys have been on the channel for a while, you could tell I've been talking about this issue for a while. And for me, in my perspective, I don't really see any improvement. And it's been really challenging for me, because last year I noticed in one of my sociology classes in my college, they were talking about different gender role issues. So basically, woman issues have this issue where a lot of stuff they see on media and how they're being represented is very overly sexualized, which I thought that was very common in the femboy space. And what I thought was interesting was in this unit, the masculine side, it was more about violence and just asserting dominance, which that was not happening in the femboy space, which I thought was really interesting, because if femboys identify as guys, why are they having the same issues as the woman issues during this time? So I emailed my professor saying, hey, why is this happening? I think this is a very unique case that this should be looked more upon. And then she showed me a documentary to watch, hey, you should watch a documentary because this seems to cover very similar stuff in the femboy space, which in this documentary, they talked about how in the 1990s, there was this county that had a STD outbreak among folks that shouldn't be happening. They are a little bit too young for that to be happening. So that's what it was covering about. And basically what it concluded was that a lot of these I'm calling youngsters, these youngsters that were doing those actions were lacking a lot of connection, guidance, and connection, which was due to either parents overworking or the parents being absent in their life, the community just not being there for them. So the easy way to get that was through the sexualization aspects, which is very similar to the femboy space. And this happened originally in the 1990s. So it's very weird to see this pattern happen from the 90s to the 2020s. And it's that was the first start of oh, this is kind of sad and depressing, because I'm seeing history literally being repeated, but except this is happening in the online space. So it's just more massive, more big. And with me having this position where I could actually spread the message and talk about things, I feel like I'm responsible to, spread the word about this. But it's hard to do that, to have a really good video, a really good way to express it. But I'm not done yet with the documentary part, because another part that messed me up was that was just talk about the feminine role, which again, very similar to femboy space. But the masculinity role was during the same time in documentary. I can't say this because I get demonetized. Well, not just demonetized, just age restricted. Is the school, they had a pew pew incident, which I think that was the most craziest thing that happened in that documentary. But it was just crazy because the girls and the guys, they both all coexist with the same issues, but they just go for extreme measures to get that attention, guidance, connection. They go for those extreme measures. For the feminine, they go for the extreme sexualization. For masculine, they go for the extreme violence. And then if you're in the United States, this has been happening for literally 30 years. And I think it's crazy that my mom was literally younger than my age, by a few years, when this stuff was first occurring. And I am now 21 years old, a little bit older than my mom when she first saw these news. And nothing has been done. I think that was just really devastating. And then another part is just the position I'm at within the femboy space. I see this happening, this pattern, over and over and over with the extreme sexualization. I see a bunch of femboy content creators. I don't want to call people out because I don't like witch hunting. I don't want people to harass the content creators. Please don't do it. I'm being fucking serious. It's just sad because whenever I see new content creators come up into space, I see this same trend of they start doing safe for work content, and eventually by the time the 5th or 6th video hit, they do something NSFW, and it just double the views, double the sub count. It just is really rewarding. So when you see that happen just for like constant like 4 years in a row, it kind of drives you mad. It kind of drives you insane. So when you have this happen, I just feel sad because it just feels like that's the only thing happening in the space. I feel like I'm one of the only content creators creating safe for work videos and how to be safe for work and just creating guides for it. At the same time, I feel like I'm contributing to the issue here. I think like, well, how you contribute to an issue. So another issue I want to talk about within the woman issues is like body image stuff, because I made a workout guide, I made a fitness guide, so obviously that's gonna contribute in a way, because for the woman issues, a lot of women you see in the media or advertisements, it's very skinny, there's not a lot of body diversity. I'll say that. You don't see a lot of like plus size women, you don't see overweight women, you don't see anybody that's just a little bit of like fat during the time. And because people think like, oh, you have to look extremely skinny, like top 2% American model like skinny, which you don't have to look like that. And so when I make femboy videos where a lot of the femboy representation is having this skinny twink body, and like it's just a sad process, because I've seen a lot of femboys like state they can't be a femboy because they're not skinny enough, or they just have a bunch of body image issues, which is happening at a very young age. I feel like that's sad to think about. Like these teenagers are like, you know, thinking about they can't express themselves because of the way they look. I think that isn't right. And another part I want to talk about too was how I contribute to this problem is because for my video on which was originally called Workout Guide for Femboys, it wasn't doing well statistic wise. I would say it was getting around like 600 views every like 2 days per se. And then when I switched the title to how to get the perfect femboy body, because that was a popular tag search that I could find during the time, and it went from 600 views in 48 hours to 800 views in 48 hours, which was like a 20% jump in views, because what I'm doing is preying on the insecurities of people. And so imagine that in the femboy space, right? Like I'm doing that, which is not a lot, like from 20%, from 600 views to 800 views, to what's happening like massively out there, like the real world where advertisers are doing. It's kind of fucked up. So what I was like realizing is the femboy space is just a bunch of smaller problems in this space that's just happening in the real world being reflected. And it's really depressing. You get to see this happening. And I want to talk about my own experience with this space, because I've seen a lot of like bad shit happen. Because it's just a lot that happened in space that I've witnessed, and it's very like stressful. I feel like in this position I'm at, I'm thinking things that I shouldn't have thought of at this age, because I've seen stuff when I was like 19 years old, 20, now I'm 21, and I had to go through some crazy incidents. So I want to talk about some of them, because I could never have the chance to talk about it, because I've always wanted to do my best to protect this community. For one incident I recall like this year happening was I had to contact the FBI for this. So what happened was, again, remember talking about how people go for extreme measures to get that connection, guidance connection. One person I saw that seemed like a troubled teenager, saying like they needed help with some like mental health issues because they're dealing with bullying and some like school stuff, like again, a typical teenage experience. And I saw that that one of my staff members got a message, or like a ping, whatever it is, I forgot, that they were replicating a game to practice a mass violent action, which from my own personal experience and my own research, yes, my own personal experience, I have experienced like pre-stages before somebody did an action like this. That is one of the first signs of a mass violent before it occurs. So recognizing the sign, I wanted to step in and stop this from occurring. So what I did was I contacted the person, be like, hey, how's it going? Are you doing okay? Because I'm actually concerned about their well-being. And they were saying how they were going to practice that game, you know, to replicate in the real world. I was like, okay, don't do that. These are just stressors and thoughts. You don't got to do this, you know? And then out of nowhere, they hit me that they said they have connections to ISIS. yeah, connections to ISIS. That was like, it just hit me out of nowhere, just out of the blue. I'm not sure if I should be talk about this. I'm not sure if this puts my life at danger, but this actually happens. So immediately I was like, how did this person get contact to ISIS? It's just crazy. And then after having some conversation, it was just, again, that they didn't have that connection and guidance that they felt accepted to be a femboy or just a queer minority, but they got dealt with the wrong hands, and they were the only people that shown support. And that incident, I think, still like fucked me up pretty badly, because it just shows like, God, I don't know, like this kid, like, man, like I get emotional thinking about this, because like it's just that, like I do a lot to provide for this community. I want a safe space for like people to express themselves, because I know what it's like to be in a really horrible environment where you can't feel like you could be yourself. And so when you see someone that gets in this position where they finally found somewhere they think they're, be themselves, but they're being dealt with the wrong hands of people, it's just sad. It's really sad. And that's how I feel the sexualization aspect is. It's just a lot of people just like, it's just sad. It's really sad. Like, I've seen a lot of stories from my own community where people say that they shared photos that they didn't wish they did, because they just felt good feeling seen and heard for the first time, but they were just being exploited for sharing like unsolicited photos. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it's just, it does a toll to your mental health. It really does. And like, I really want to like help out and like contribute like to a solution, which I feel like making this video is part of it. But at the same time, there's another issue that's going on in the femboy space, which has another addictive cycle. Which I want to talk about why this sexualization is also bad too in the femboy space, because this is very, very similar to like the hub. I'm going to say the hub as a substitute for this word, but if you know what it means, you're going to know what it means. But for the hub addiction, it's a very real thing that's happening. It fries your dopamine receptors and has the same like addiction as like gambling, drinking, and all that stuff. So the femboy space is very similar to having the hub addiction, because a lot of it is very sexualized. You see a bunch of thighs, you see a bunch of like very sexualized aspects. It's a very addicting cycle, because you see it, it feels good to see it, you feel recognized, and you just kind of like keep it going. And so imagine you have that, but also a short form content of it, which is also addictive, which is really addicting. TikTok and those short form videos has been proven to give you the same attention span or a worse attention span as a goldfish, which is 9 seconds. And then once you're on that TikTok cycle, you get this I forgot what I was saying, but the goldfish, 9 seconds. For you, it becomes 8.5 seconds. You literally have the worst like attention span than a goldfish. That's bad. So when you combine that with both of the sexualized aspects and the short form videos, that gives you the femboy space. So now I'm at this dilemma of like, how am I going to make this video that's going to talk about the sexualized issues and just this crisis going on without, there's a lot of content to talk about. And not only that, just a bunch of issues I see too, like the body diversity and like the racial diversity and just the sexualization of it. And like, how am I going to talk to my audience and talk to other femboys about this when everything is a short form sexualized video, because it just feels good and it's an addictive cycle. It's like, what it feels like I have to do is create this addictive cycle that's somehow way more superior than like the sexualized short form videos. Either I make the short form videos just as catchy or even more catchier than just showing like thighs. It's really hard. It feels like I have to like create a new like addictive cycle. I feel like I have to make a whole new TikTok like platform or like a new like gambling addiction just to get people to see this video and spread awareness about it. And that's also just really stressful too, because I feel like the whole femboy space is just a giant fetish, because I have seen so much sexualization that it just doesn't seem normal. Like, I think this is the only space where I've seen where it's normalized to show your thighs, only your thighs, joke about like showing only your thighs. It's just so many like thigh stuff. It's literally dictionary definition of fetish, which is like a particular sexual interest in like a body part that isn't like a sexual organ, which that would be the thigh and also the thigh highs. So that was just one incident for like the whole like thing, what I said earlier for like the ISIS stuff. And another part that I have witnessed or like firsthand is the early stages of the mass violence. This is a lot more common than people think. Because while growing up, I had a friend, which I never talked about this because I've always wanted to protect their identity and I don't want people to ever like figure out who this person was. But I had a friend that had a very big interest in mass violence actions. And I was a little bit concerned at first because I was like, this is not normal. But over time, they had a really big hyperfixation on it to the point where they were like looking up to this person. And I remember during one of my last days at the school, I told the counselor, be like, hey, like this person was having a really big interest in this stuff. And it was just, I don't think it's normal, And I remember seeing the counselor's face like just go from like smiling because she was talking about like me with my like some issue stuff to just serious face that I could tell it was meant to be serious. And then the next day, I mean that day I thought I was gonna die. I'm not gonna lie. I was not. I wasn't sure what I was expecting because I remember reporting that, being like thinking like what do I want to happen? Do I want like my friend to potentially like end the lives of multiple people at the school or just only me? And then I said, I think one is better than many. And I chose that decision. I remember that night just thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be one of my last night of lives. And then when I saw my friend wasn't there at the school, I panicked. And I looked around the classroom and be like, oh my God, this is going to be like the last time I ever see their faces alive. And then I got called into the principal office. And they're like, hey, like, come here. Like, we want to update you to the situation that's happening. And they brought me up to the office and they said that when they talked about his issues and when they said who like told them, who snitched and said who reported their issues. When they said like I reported them, like when they heard my name, they smiled. I think that speaks a lot about what's happening in the space. It's just like yeah, sure, like he's not in the femboy space, but like it's still that same like we're all connected, It just takes that one person to just recognize that they need help. And then once they feel recognized, that's all they need. So when I see like my own like space, my own community of like these teenagers, kids, even adults even not feeling recognized or being seen, but they have to go through exploitive methods, it's really depressing. It's really sad. Like I feel depressed and sad. And then and the worst part is when you see your own community members, you feel really attached to them. And the worst part is when they are in like unsupportive environments, they think that's like the end of the world. And you see some really concerning messages where they don't want to like be existing anymore. And then when you see them like not online ever again, it really fucks you up. It really does. It really does. And it really does. It really it really does. I wish nobody else goes through like the same mental stressors that I'm going through, but I could really like it just feels like what I say and what I do represents the femboy community, and I feel like there's a lot of lives that is like need to be protected. I don't know what they look like. I don't hear their voice. I don't know what they like see. I can't see their face or like hear them or anything, but I can see their messages and I can tell they need help, and I'm really, really trying and motivated to bring the best in this space. But when you only see like the worst of the worst and the awful stuff happening, it's really depressing. I stopped uploading because I was just depressed. I didn't feel like I could contribute to these videos. I felt like I had a really big responsibility to look after in this community, and it was just overwhelming. I thought, like, what's the best video to make this possible to spread awareness, and I'm still figuring this out. And it's just a mental toll. It's really just a big mental toll on me. Yeah, that's why I just stopped uploading. I just couldn't handle the pressure, really. And this leads to a lot of, like, my personal issues too. Like, I'm depressed. I'll be honest. I've been depressed for, like, almost my entire life. And I feel like I'm addicted to this stress because I feel like a sense of responsibility and motivation to take care of you guys online. But I literally can't help everyone, you know? That's why I have these guides to set up so people feel confident being themselves and pushing out, like, the best versions of themselves where they feel happy. And so when they have these exposures where it's, like, not the best support, but that's the only way they could get support, it's, of course, depressing. And I'm also dealing with some personal issues too. I know in the past I've been up with my abuse with my family, and I think another thing that, like, messed me up bad was when I opened up about my history of my abuse in my family. I was just told, like, oh, it makes sense, which I to be honest, I think that hurt more than, like, getting hate comment or negative comments. Like, I'm not kidding when I say this. I felt more hurt when hearing my own fans saying, oh, I feel sorry for you, but this makes sense. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, why does it make sense for someone like me to go through that? But for other celebrities out there that open up with their abuse, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, there's even Gordon Ramsay, where his dad was also abusive. I think the Home Alone actor kid, they're all, like, cisgendered and masculine, but they get shown support. But when it comes to me, I just get told it makes sense. Why is it different for me? Because I want to express myself more feminine? What about nobody asked about my siblings? They're cisgendered, they're masculine. But for me, it just makes sense. It just, like, all I gotta ask is why. Like, that, I think that was, like, the most, like, painful interaction I felt within my own community. It was just sad. Just be like, okay, like, I'm sure it's probably my fault for opening up, like, a very abrupt and, like, serious topic to talk about. But it still sucks because, like, a lot of people are cisgender and masculine, go through this similar experience, but if someone shows any form of, like, gay factors or, like, feminine attributes, like, oh, it makes sense. Like, I don't think that's right. And then for my personal stuff, again, sorry, I sidetracked a bunch of stuff, but yeah, I'm still dealing with some, like, family issues because I haven't recovered from that, and that definitely brings a toll to me. Because I'm also dealing with some inner conflict of gender dysphoria, because I'm starting to realize I've always liked the idea of being seen as a girl. I've always wanted. It's really weird. It's a very conflicting, like, problem for me. But basically, like, I thought I was a femboy because I like the idea of being feminine, but identifying as a boy. But now it's, like, tricky because I like being seen as a girl. I've liked being seen as feminine as possible. I like having this appearance of a girl because my mind is saying I want to act like one, I want to talk like one, I want to be a girl. I want to be a girl. I want to look like one. I want to sound like one. I want to have the mannerisms as one. I want the appearance as one. I want to be a girl. But I never had this idea that I'm a girl. But then I never want to tell anybody that I'm a boy either. So it's very, like, conflicting. And then when you see these labels being popped around, like, oh, you're gender fluid, you're trans femme, you're non-binary, it's confusing because I don't know. I kind of wish there was, like, not a label for anything. Like, I another thing I feel stressed out too is that what if I do realize I am just a girl? What happens to my community? What's that's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to the femboy representation? Like, if I, like, let's say the egg does crack, and then I make femboy videos, and they come out being like, this is actually who I am. What's going to happen to this channel, you know? Like, because I'm still happy to make videos. I love to make videos. This is all I've ever wanted as a child. But the idea of being this representation of safe for work femboys, but when I realize I'm a girl, how are people going to view me? You know, are they going to view me differently? Are they going to, like, unsubscribe, move away to a different channel? But then if they move away to a different, like, content, who are they going to watch that's going to do, like, safe for work stuff? I don't think they'll ever find anybody. That's also the stressor too, which has also been tearing me apart. And just the stress of making videos has been really bad. It's just because if the statistics are like low, it really feels low. But when you have a really good video, it feels really, really good. And this stress of like trying to create the perfect video addressing the femboy problems and also just having a really good guide is stressful. And I noticed in the femboy space too, like video content in this space is not normal. I know we're just like feminine, and that's definitely not normal. But the content in the space is definitely different from how you make different videos. For example, I've seen different videos from different channels where they have slower pacing, they have longer videos, and they have make really well made videos without much editing at all. And they have like quadruple the views that I do. And that has me confused because I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Because I feel like I have to put in more effort in my videos where I have to like, I want to say more effort. Everybody's style is different, but more edits, more popping out stuff, the text popping out, the freaking, what's it called? Like the text popping out, the video popping out, the transition, the sound effects. I feel like I have to put more sound effects than like a Johnny Bravo movie or like a Johnny Bravo cartoon. It feels like for the engagement, again, the short form engagement, it's really bad in the femboy space. I feel like I have to make my long form videos as a short form TikTok edit video for like 3 minutes. Again, I can't exceed 3 minutes because no one's gonna watch it all the way through. While for other people that I've seen, people will gladly watch most of the way through the 3 minute video. Like they'll be like at the median range. I'll be below median because again, a lot of the content space is sexualized at short form. So it just feels like really demotivating to make these kind of videos. Also make you guides too, because it's just people will get what they want. Like, oh, I got what I needed. Bye. Like it just feels bad. It just feels awful when you know like your statistics are like lower than the average because of this addictive cycle going on. It's really like it gets to your mind. It's really depressing. And I know recently when I show my face, I'm starting to realize like the more I show my face, the more like negative the response gets statistically. I've always lose subscribers, always lose more viewers. It's just not worth it to show my face. I feel like if you want to make videos, you either show your face day one or you just never ever show it. It's very toxic. I'll say it's very toxic. But yeah, I'm going to update you guys why I've been uploading. It's just the stressors of being in this position I'm at, making the assembly content. It's the stressors of just my own mental health with the gender dysphoria and depression I've been battling. And it really makes me want to quit YouTube and like pursue something else because I want to help people out. I love helping people. I love helping you guys. But I feel like what I know with this addictive cycle of this Femboy space, it feels really hard to break free from it, or at least promote making safe for work content. Because again, a lot of this cycle, a lot of this content stuff is very addictive, not safe for work cycles. So it's very demoralizing to upload videos, and I've just the whole mental health stuff. I've been like really bad in the headspace. It's really been affecting me because I feel bad because like I love making videos for you guys. I love making videos. Don't get me wrong, I love making videos. It's just the stress behind it really like does me over, and it's been hard. Like I want to make more streams, I want to make more videos, I want to make more content, but I just can't. It's been a struggle. Another thing too I want to talk about is I've been really badly addicted to video games. I feel like that's always been like my comfort in my life. It sounds really cringe, but it's true. Like I didn't have that many friends growing up, so like during like elementary school, I did was went home and played video games. I remember doing middle school when I got like picked on a lot. I went home and played video games. I had some friends to hang out with for sure, but that's all I did was like play video games. In high school, when I moved away from my friends, I couldn't talk to them. So I just played video games at home. That's all I've ever done. Just go home, play video games, sleep, wake up early, play video games, go to school, watch videos about games, go home, play video games, watch YouTube, like go to bed. That was just my entire like cycle in life. And then it got really bad during the COVID hit because it got just the video games. It was just there, you know. I could play that while in Zoom meetings. Like who didn't do that? So just getting that like addictive cycle of just video games and getting that like satisfaction and that sense of like community through them was really nice. But again, it just really does take a load on my like video editing stuff because when I'm always stressed out making videos and see this community like crisis stuff happening, and then with my depression too, it's really hard to step away from something that's addictive. Like I literally can't stop playing it. I literally have to just make myself sit down and freaking edit my video and like not touch a game all day just to get like some form of progress. I've been doing better now, but now the only thing's holding me back is just the stressor of the space. And I feel like you guys deserve an exclamation when I'm gone. And I hope that covers everything. I'm not sure. I really don't know if y'all are going to watch it all the way through. If you do, I greatly appreciate you. Because, again, a lot of my viewers don't watch my stuff all the way through. And I really, 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 really greatly appreciate it. Because it just shows, like I don't know, it just means a lot to me. But yeah, that's basically what's been happening. That's why I haven't been uploading as much, just a stressor of the Femboy space and my own mental health. And yeah, thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I want more content in the future. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to make much more videos in the Femboy space as much. I might have like 1 or 2 more guides and addressing the issue better in the in a different video format, probably 2 different versions, one for the Femboy addictive pop cycle, and the other one just being the normal for the general public. And then I'm not sure what else. But yeah, I want to make our guides. I want to finish up guides. Maybe some normal content, just add some variety stuff like gaming. I've seen some ideas like that. Maybe some streaming again. Because I really do care. I want to make our videos. I don't want to abandon the channel. I want at least the silver play button. I really want that. I want that as a child. I'm damn well gonna get it one day, whether I grind for it or not. But yeah, that's what's happening. I might quit Femboy content eventually. I'll make some few videos to help the space a lot, and then transition, either being like talk about queer history, queer related topics, or just, maybe still some Femboy stuff, just promoting some positivity. I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe some trans film stuff. I don't know. Maybe some update about my personal life. Anything. But yeah. Anyways, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.